I think just about every Montrealer at some point has imagined themselves living atop Mont Royal, one of the beautiful mansions. Okay, so sure, maybe this isn't exactly what they had in mind. But you know, that's not scary. Injury, sickness, betrayal, these are the things that keep me up at night. In my opinion, Mont Royal Cemetery is the place to spend eternity, and I will. Today I'm gonna take a tour, and maybe I'll even find a nice spot to call my own someday. I'm going to meet Myriam Cloutier, who's been giving tours of Mont Royal Cemetery for 18 years.
This cemetery is 160 years old, and it's a National Historic Site, so it's like preserving artifacts. We have close to 200,000 people buried here. The cemetery was founded in 1852, so the first burial is in this section, and the first president of the cemetery is over here.
I'd like to meet him.
It's Mr. John Samuel McCord. It's mentioned on the monument, first president of this cemetery.
Wow.
So this is where the first person was buried in 1852. His name was Reverend William Squire, and he was a cholera victim. Back then, these were very busy periods for the cemetery, so cholera epidemics, smallpox epidemics. Then there was the Spanish influenza in 1918. Montreal had some tough times.
So these are good examples, I guess, of how long all this stuff lasts.
Since this is the oldest section, it shows what monuments become.
Yes.
So marble is not the greatest material for Montreal. The problem with it is that it disappears, and it becomes like sugar. But all around us, you see granite monuments, and these are good, and they last, and they're really forever.
So what are we looking for here?
Richler.
The famous Mordecai Richler, huh?
Yes, this is in a beautiful area of the cemetery. We get a very nice view of eastern Montreal.
It's true, he was an East Side kind of guy.
Yes, and we see the area where he grew up, so I think his family chose the perfect site for him.
Thinking of this cemetery as a green space is by far the most appropriate thing to do.
Oh yes, because of all the trees, all the shrubs, all the flowers, all the 145 species of birds.
You know, when I get my grave here, it's in perpetuity.
It is.
Forever.
It is. The majority of contracts now are a maximum of 99 years, but here it's true perpetuity. Yes.
I can't think of another real estate deal in town like that.
Let's go to Taube Lake.
Taube Lake! There's an endless list of fascinating personalities buried here. Not only historical or literary figures, there's even something of interest for hockey fans.
He was with the Montreal Canadiens for a long time.
He replaced Dick Irving as coach.
He won 8 Stanley Cups as a coach.
That's right.
And 3 as a player. Here's an interesting person. It's Sir William Christopher MacDonald.
The cigarette empire.
Exactly, MacDonald Tobacco, founder of MacDonald College, and he was also chancellor of McGill University. He donated funds to Mont Royal Cemetery so we could have the first crematorium in Canada.
Really?
And it was the only crematorium in Quebec until 1975.
What? Well, so far, this is one of my favorites. What's this area called?
It's letters. It's not really poetic. It's Section F of Mont Royal Cemetery.
Section F.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Let's move on. Who's next? It's very cool. How did you get the idea to do an app?
When you get close to a point of interest, it will tell you.
The name is familiar as the last station on the Metro's Green Line bears his name.
Cut me loose. I've always imagined that when I shuffle off this mortal coil, I might rest my bones in the Mont Royal Cemetery. So I'm taking a tour of the property with guide Myriam Cloutier and discovering some of the cemetery's most famous residents. The famous Mordecai Richler.
He won 8 Stanley Cups as a coach.
That's right.
And 3 as a player.
Hey, you know your stuff. Prochaine station, Honoré Beaugrand. But you don't need to take an old-fashioned tour anymore to get acquainted with these hallowed grounds. Did you know they have an app? Yeah, an app. It's very cool. How did you get the idea to do an app?
It's very common now that if you go to a museum, you just take an audio guide and it takes you around.
Yeah.
So that's where the idea came from. So this is the map of the cemetery, and all the little logos shows where you can go to learn about the different things in the cemetery. So let's say you're walking in the cemetery. There's a blue dot that shows where you are. And when you get close to a point of interest, it will tell you. It will show you what is interesting around you. This is Honoré Beaugrand. So if you want to know more, there's always a sentence that gives you a brief summary of who he was. So he was mayor of Montreal, from 1885 to 1887. And if you press here,
The name is familiar to
there's
Montrealers as
an
the
audio
last station
capsule
on the
that comes
Metro's
up.
Green Line.
According to the app, he started a newspaper, which I didn't know.
The La Patrie newspaper in 1879. Yeah, and he was a popular author, but we know his name because of the metro station.
Yeah.
The real Joe Beef is buried here.
Charles McKiernan.
Exactly.
Wow, talk about a Montreal icon. So this is what I'm talking about, Miriam. These are the neighbors I want. So can I get buried around here, or is it already full?
No, it's not full.
Really?
Even though it's a very old cemetery, it's still a very active cemetery.
Is it more expensive to have a celebrity neighbor?
No, it doesn't make a
It
difference.
doesn't make any...
No.
I like, this is a good business. I like it.
So there is a lot of history in the cemetery, but there is also a lot of natural aspects that are very interesting, such as this tree, which is a red oak. We didn't plant this tree because, as you can see, it's so close to the fence.
It grew right into it.
Yes, so the fence is within the tree now. On Mont Royal, before anything was here, there were a lot of red oaks and sugar maples.
What about all the folks that associate, you know, creepy, spooky times with cemeteries, you know, like on Halloween?
The founders wanted this place to be just like a park. They wanted this place to be inviting. We see people that come here every day. It gives Montrealers a quiet place to be.
I'm at the cemetery. I might as well find my grandfather's spot. So I'm gonna have a look. Miriam, I'll be right back. Let's see here. Mont Royal Cemetery is the place to be. Idyllic surroundings, friendly caretakers, the who's who of celebrity neighbors. It's definitely the place I want to spend eternity. Not that I'm ready. I'm not. I'm in no hurry. But it's nice to know that when I am, I'll be welcome.